Brad Biggs was recently interviewed, and what he said throughout some doubt around DJ Moore's future in Chicago. We also have comments from Ben Johnson in regards to Caleb Williams and the last play against the Green Bay Packers. And we're going to dive a little bit into the mailbag as well. Trust me, you guys do not want to miss this episode. We're going to get into it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. We want to start off with this one. So Brad Biggs was interviewed on the radio like he always is, and he talked about the Chicago Bears, and he did raise some questions in regards to DJ Moore and what DJ Moore is going to, his future with Chicago, basically. On Mully and Ha, he said this: first third down of the game, he's open. Caleb throws for him, and he would have needed. You're not talking about a step ladder. You got to grab the ladder to use it to go out on top of the garage. The throw was high, so you're looking at for him right there, and it moves the chains if that throw is on the money. He also goes on to talk about, of course, the ending play where DJ Moore was missed and things like that. So the question now becomes about, right, the chemistry between DJ Moore and Caleb Williams has already been something that was in question, right? Brad Biggs also pointed out in that interview that the game plan against the Packers included a lot of bootlegs for Caleb Williams to keep him out of harm's way, out of that pass rush by the Green Bay Packers, and then it reduced him to basically only being on one side of the field because of that, and that that DJ Moore was not a big part of being on the side of the field that would have been then open for Caleb Williams at part of that. He talked about DJ Moore needing to be a bigger part of the Chicago Bears offense. So now the DJ Moore involvement in the Bears offense has been something that has been raised over different parts of the season, right? Now, I was somebody who, when we drafted Luther Burden, and some Bears fans immediately went to, oh my God, now we can trade DJ Moore. I'm like, hold on, let's see what this talent is going to look like here. And I'm still of that mindset, right? Like, yes, we have had times where, we haven't spread the ball out as much as we needed to in the pass game, and that has affected everyone from Colston Loveland to Cole Kmet, really, especially with Rome Odunze being Caleb Williams' kind of favorite weapon, and Colston Loveland shortly there behind him. It's left some people out of it, right? And so, the thought process was with Rome Odunze being out, it's going to open the game up a little bit more, for players like DJ Moore. And now you're seeing it that maybe Caleb and DJ's chemistry isn't where it needs to be. And it's reinvigorating some of those conversations around should the Bears look at trading for DJ Moore, right? For example, if the Bears were to trade DJ Moore before June 1st of 2026, it would leave a $12 million in dead money, right? Where it does clear those $16.5 million in cap space. A post-June 1st trade would then shift the cap savings to $25.5 million, right? And on March 18th, $15.5 million of his 2027 salary becomes fully guaranteed. So you got to look at those dates as well. So if the Bears do decide, again, I'm of the mindset, keep as much talent as possible until we're winning consistently. And that's just my personal opinion on it. But the numbers are hard to ignore when it comes to DJ Moore. When you look at the snap count, things like that, his targets, all those type of things, right? Despite having 98 catches last season, right? It just has not been a time period where Caleb Williams and DJ Moore have really built upon their chemistry. You look at after week 2, right? The loss to Detroit, where Ben Johnson called out players' effort. DJ Moore was one of those players as well. The effort was a little bit lacking at that time. DJ Moore is somebody who was yet to have, back-to-back seasons with a quarterback with 400 snaps or more in back-to-back seasons, right? So the lack of chemistry between Caleb Williams and DJ Moore last year, the way that it's continued this year, and that's not to say that Ben Johnson has found ways to get DJ Moore involved, right? Getting involved in the running game, things like that, right? But production has not been a thing. Heading into Week 14 against the Green Bay Packers, DJ Moore was on pace for career-low in catches, career-low in receiving yards, and the worst season statistically since his rookie season in 2016 with the Carolina Panthers. In no way am I saying that is a indication of DJ Moore all of a sudden lacking talent. I don't think that's the case at all. Whether it's a lack of fit for Ben Johnson's scheme or whatever it is, or just the lack of chemistry with Caleb Williams, something's there. Now, if it's a lack of chemistry, that can be worked on. If it's a lack of fit, I think DJ Moore is talented enough, especially with yards after the catch, to where you may be able to overcome some of that. But it's a legitimate question. And with the Bears going into this offseason, needing to fix the pass rush, right? That's clearly something that needs to be worked on there. Needing maybe some more secondary help. Well, I think we may be fine there, but seeing how that ends up shaking out for this team. All those things, it raises some questions on if DJ Moore is one of those trade chips because of the lack of production. You look at Rome Odunze, Luther Burden. Clearly, those are guys that are ready. You still have Olamide Zaccheaus, who's another player that has some chemistry with Caleb Williams and as a slot can be pretty good if you do decide to move with Rome and Luther being your 1 and your 2 respectively. So there's some wiggle room in there for that, right? Again, I'm personally that if you can find a way to go out and get an edge, you can find out a way to go out there and improve your defensive line, how much you can get done in the draft without removing talent. I say it all the time. One of the things that I look at the offseason as is that it's always about eliminating questions, not creating more questions. Now, some of that's going to naturally happen. You're going to have players that walk away in free agencies. You're going to have players that are too expensive for you to retain. You're going to have, to trade something to get something else, whatever it is, right? It's not completely unavoidable to create more questions, but ideally you want to find more answers than new questions that you create. I love what we have as far as a wide receiver core. I think that we need to be better in our production in the passing game, and that can come from Caleb Williams improving as a quarterback, right? And if some of those missed targets go away and that completion percentage goes up, that gives more opportunity. Some of the drops we can get together, those type of things could go away in improving that, which is something that I do think we need to look on from the end of this season to the beginning of next, no matter how this season ends. But I don't think that a lack of talent is there for DJ Moore. I want to be clear there. In no way do I feel that way. And while this is the report, this is the conversation, I'm still of the mind you keep them and you keep all the talent that you possibly can, as long as it makes sense for your salary cap and if you can make improvements in other places. But I want to hear from you guys on this one. When you hear this talk of now that's starting to pop back up, of DJ Moore not fitting in for whatever reason, the Bears may be looking to move him in the offseason. We also pair that with the cap savings that could get, saving $24 million in salary cap could be a big reason of why, that's a chip alone to go out there and get you a big name edge or something like that. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Do you think that is the right scenario that the Bears should be exploring? Or are you more so kind of on my side with keep all the talent that you can? I'd rather have an embarrassment of riches and say, hey, we got too much talent to use effectively than us lacking talent or affecting and taking off a drop there, right? But, there are a lot of people that really do think that this is DJ Moore's future in Chicago is clear, and they think that he may not be there. DJ Moore did lead wide receivers and skill position players in snaps against the Packers, which is really good, right? You love to see that. But outside of that, how much was DJ Moore used and utilized? He had a career worst -4 yards in one catch against Green Bay. That's not good, right? So you look at the number of targets that went to Olamide, Cole Kmet, those type of players. It's a legitimate reason for a question. And I guess we just see how people feel about it. I want to hear from you guys here. How you guys feel on that one down below. With that said, let's move on from that. Mike Greenberg had glowing stuff to say about Caleb Williams. And I know that there's been a lot of negative stuff said about Caleb Williams in regards to how things went with the last game and, missing the interception on top of missing DJ Moore and overthrowing Cole Kmet, which I think is the biggest thing there. I think Caleb he didn't throw a good ball to Cole Kmet. I think if he threw a better ball, that we connect on that, we get the first down and we have another opportunity. But that's just my personal opinion. But Mike Greenberg said this in regards to Caleb. Caleb is going to be a superstar. He hasn't even scratched the surface. Makes as many, I can't believe what I saw plays as any quarterback in years. Has the right coach too. They're going to be unstoppable. Now, I agree with that. One thing that a lot of us have said on this panel is that Caleb Williams makes some throws and some plays where you're just like, Jesus, how did you make that? But then some of the gimmies you look at and you're just like, damn, Caleb, how did you miss that, right? And the thing that I've always kind of been at mindset-wise, at least now early on, I think by year 3, that's where you need to start seeing a lot of this stuff start tightening up. But like, I think that it's easier to fix taking advantage of the gimmies than it would be easier to teach a quarterback to make some of the eye-catching throws that Caleb Williams does make at time, right? Now, I will say this, right? Caleb Williams has tons of potential, tons and tons and tons of potential. The completion, the accuracy has to be there, though. And I'm not saying that Caleb Williams, I know Ben Johnson laid out the challenge to be at 70%. I'm not saying that he needs to necessarily be there, but I would love to see him consistently at 65, right? 65% completion percentage is what I'd love to say, love to see about that. Like, Caleb Williams does have the right coach in place. Ben Johnson is the right guy to continue to evaluate and develop Caleb Williams. I truly believe that, right? And so because I think the Bears have the right guy there, the right coach, the right coaching staff to really know how and the ways that they need to develop Caleb Williams, it gives me some solace in that, right? I feel confident in that. I will say this, though, that the Bears are building in the right way. I think they are building in the right way. They're building around the coach's identity, his play style, his philosophies to where, and again, I'm not saying this because I want it to happen or I necessarily think it will happen. I'm not a Bajan baddie, but if the Bears do decide at some point, hey, we may need to make a change here at quarterback, you have a foundation that quarterback will be coming into with the coaching staff, the structure, the right players to fit the scheme that we know that Ben Johnson is going to coach if it ever does happen. Now, my hope is that, because again, you don't want to change quarterbacks every 2 or 3 years. But people that are saying, oh, Caleb needs to go in his second year, you guys would never build a franchise because, again, can't do it every 2 years. You have to really see that thing out, right? Now, I will say even with that is that by the end of this rookie contract for Caleb Williams, you need to be feeling very confident in where he is, not just where he can go. I think the Bears feel confident in the potential and where Caleb's could go, but you need to feel confident about where they are at that point before you spend and attach long-term money. That's basically what they did with Justin Fields. And that's the right decision to make, right? Caleb has things in his game that he clearly needs to tighten up on. And, not to toot our own horn, Chicago Bears Central, but we told you guys, don't believe the generational hype, all the generational labels and tags and all that stuff that was thrown out with over the draft. It's going to take some time to develop Caleb Williams. It was always going to take some time. And then we kind of wasted a year of that with Matt Eberflus staying on and then all the stuff going on with head coach and offensive coordinators, right? And so now you have this year under stability finally, and Caleb Williams has grown. Now, I do think that some of the places that Caleb hasn't grown at are things that definitely stick out game to game, and that's what causes Bears fans concern. And you have the Bears fans that don't feel confident and safe in as much as that we're buying into Caleb. And I don't agree, but I can understand that, right? So we got to see what's going to happen, right? The Bears, I think, again, they have a direction, and the direction is clear. And Caleb Williams has improved as a quarterback. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And there are people that do look at Caleb Williams and they see the star potential there because it is there. There's no doubt about it. The star potential is there. But the reasons for concern are also there and evident, and we see that rear its head as well, right? And you have to acknowledge both of them to take a honest picture and view of where you are and where your quarterback is. And I think that's what some people are trying to do. And then, of course, you have some people that are extremes on either the left or the right when it comes down to on Caleb Williams, right? So it is what it is. It comes with the territory of being a quarterback in the NFL. That's the thing that I always say. I don't think Caleb is going through anything different than what anybody who says they want to be a great starting quarterback in the NFL should have to go through. Both the good and the bad that comes with it, the criticism and the praise that come with that. It's just on Caleb to develop and shore up the parts of his games that he needs to do. And we'll see. And we'll see if he can do that. And like I said, I'm putting the trust in this coaching staff because for once, I do feel like we have a coaching staff that I trust. If they feel the development's there and it's getting to that place, I'm going to trust them in that. And so we shall see, right? Now, talking about that coaching staff and that I trust in the development, Ben Johnson had a couple of more words in regards to the Bears' loss to the Green Bay Packers where he said this. Obviously, when it comes down to the wire like that, you are on the losing side of it. It's disappointing. But a lot of credit to our guys in the second half. They're making it a game. Down 14-3 at halftime, and yet coming down to the last 30 seconds with the potential to tie the game up, or whether it is in overtime or go for the 2-point conversion. So it was a really close one at the end, but give a lot of credit to Green Bay. They made a couple more plays than us. Their offense was explosive. They found some big plays that resulted in touchdowns on us. Fortunately, there's a second half. Our offense was able to find footing and a little bit both in the run game and the pass game. It felt like we had a bit of a rhythm. We made it a game, but we fell short at the end of the day. And that's just an honest evaluation. Fell short at the end of the day is the right, because we did find that rhythm. And I think Ben Johnson needs, and I don't doubt that internally Ben Johnson is taking accountability. Not going to that run game earlier and more consistently is something that absolutely hurt that team, and Forrest finding that rhythm. And we went away from it at times, even in the second half, where I think we should have trusted our run game a little bit more. But that just comes with the ebbs and flows of being a head coach as well. And we'll see. The first half of the game was miserable. 71 yards, the fewest of a Ben Johnson's offense in the first half of a game. We got to get that, right? And the defense held the Green Bay Packers out of scoring for the first 3 drives. So, that's where you got to take advantage of those things. But Ben Johnson is the right type of coach. He has the right type of mindset. He holds himself and the players accountable in the right ways that I feel like they're going to get this together. They're going to get this figured out. They're going to get this shored up, and it'll be all right at the end of the day. We're going to be all right, right? Now, whether we get the 2 or 3 more wins that we need to get to the playoffs, that remains to be seen. But, we'll see. The Bears have an opportunity this week not only to get right back in the groove of winning, but also right back at the top of the NFC North, which leads us to our next topic, right? Week 15 in the NFL, it puts the Bears in a situation where they're going to be taking on rookie Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns at Soldier Field. The Browns are 3-10 on the season, and listen, they can't be taken lightly. As no team for the Chicago Bears should be taken lightly, right? The Cleveland Browns defense is a problem, and that is something that we've seen disrupt the Chicago Bears and what they want to do. The Bears may need to score 20 to 25 points to get a win with the way that this defense plays with the Cleveland Browns, and hopefully they're ready and prepared for that. But, a lot of people are completely down. I've seen people be like, oh, the Bears can lose out, all this type of stuff. There's not a reason to, not yet, right? The Bears are in a position to continue to contend, and they have a get-right opportunity against the Cleveland Browns, but you cannot allow a letdown against that, right? Now, on this other side of that, the Green Bay Packers travel to Denver. To take they're going to be taking on the Broncos, and the Broncos are going to be at home, and they have a 10-game winning streak, right? So this is an opportunity for the Bears to get right back at the top of the NFC North. Now they need to first take care of business against the Cleveland Browns, and they need a little bit of help from the Denver Broncos against the Packers. Maybe we can get a little bit of alliance there going. But the Packers they lost two games in a row before their 4-game losing streak, and sometimes losing a game is what is needed to kind of refocus your team. And what I said that when I predicted the rest of the last 5 for the Bears, and I predicted a loss for the Bears against the Packers in that first game, it was with the mindset that you're going to have to lose one of these games. I don't want my team, and that may sound crazy, riding off some crazy 8-game winning streak into the playoffs. I want you to face some adversity. I want you to have to look at yourself and realize, damn, all right, hey, this is what we need to tighten up at. I want that for my team, and that could very well be what happened. The Bears need to take care of business against the Cleveland Browns in Week 15. If they do, and we get a little help from the Denver Broncos because the Packers got a test there, the Bears can be right back at the top of the NFC North. Not that matters at this point. There's still a lot of season left to be played, but I just say that to highlight this. It's not done yet for this Bears team. I get it. We lost to the Packers. Don't let that completely shake you. And let's refocus. Let's give this team the good faith, energy they need, and let's hope that we're going to take care of business. With that said, we do got one voicemail I want to get into. This one is from Reese.
What's up, Haize? This is Reese calling from the east side from Chicago. I'm going to say this first. I'm good that we got this loss because I want us to be more hungry for the next Green Bay game. We need this loss so we can have a setback, a reality check. So we won't go into the playoffs thinking we can beat anybody. We can be hungry for the Browns game, then we can go into the second Packers game for revenge. You're not going to like a couple things what I'm going to say. But I honestly think we need to keep Kyler Gordon out for the rest of the season, get him healthy, and trade him. He's a non-factor for the team. What Kyler Gordon is like the Lonzo Ball of the Chicago Bulls. We need him. We want him to play. We know the talent he got, but he's never reliable for the next game. Next is we need to get rid of Grady Jarrett. He's not doing shit for us. We need to get rid of Odinbo. He ain't doing shit for us. The new guy we just brought in, we ain't doing shit for us. And we need to draft some linemen, D-line, or a trade. Dexter, he's not a starter. I know you're going to disagree with that. He's a rotational piece. He's not a starter. He can't even get pressure. That's number 2 I know you're going to disagree with me on. And I say Dexter's like our Patrick Williams of the Bulls. He big. We know the talent he got, but he's not proving it. He's like our Patrick Williams. Second is people keep blaming DJ Moore, but if the coaching staff not Dallas not pays for him, or Caleb not throwing it to him. People keep talking about he's $28 million type of player. What else can he do if he's not getting the ball? Nothing at all. But we need to get most of these defensive players. We need to trade Kyler Gordon because he's no good for us if he keep being non-reliable. One game he in, the next 5 games he out. Like, it's no point of us keeping him. But bear down.
All right. So the Bears did need a reality check. No doubt about that, right? And they should use that loss as a reality check to refocus. Now, as far as sit Kyler out the rest of the season, I disagree with that. And not because of the trade or anything, but if he's ready to go, you want him out there. Now, if he's not healthy, then don't force him to play either. But this team is trying to win football games. You need everything that you have been. And I do think that Kyler has been a lot more available than Lonzo Ball. Making the comparison to Lonzo Ball is just not. He's been a lot more. Kyler has still played in over 80% of the games over his career. Now, it's been effective this season. That's not Lonzo at all for the Chicago Bulls, right? And I think we have to realize, like, this is the thing I say again as fans, it's not as simple as just getting rid of players that aren't working. When players have guaranteed money and they're playing bad, what team's going to want to trade for that? Or you're going to have to give up assets for the team to take that on. And if you cut them, you're going to take a huge cap hit, which then, because it's guaranteed money, you're not getting the savings from that to then turn around and sign another player with that. You're hurting your team that way because now you're taking away assets. I'm not saying that Grady Jarrett has been the best for the Chicago Bears. I'm not saying that. But it's not as simple as just getting rid of players that you don't like or that aren't performing when the contracts are involved. So that's something that you have to look at it for. Now, as far as Javon Dexter, here's what I'll say about Javon. You guys know I'm an analytics guy, right? Javon Dexter is he's had 14 stops on the season, 56 in the NFL. He's 9th in sacks for his position at the defensive tackle with 5 sacks on the season, right? Hurries. He's 23rd in the league at QB hurries with 20. That's top half of his position, well in top half. He's 37th in QB hits. He's 21st in total pressures, right? So, like Javon Dexter has not been glowing. And I think sometimes as Bears fans, we have been spoiled by the production we've gotten on the defensive line. I'm not saying you can't upgrade from Javon Dexter either. I'm just saying that I think sometimes we have this, like, defensive tackles aren't the ones that typically get 8, 9 sacks. Of course, there are some that get that, absolutely, right? But that's not the norm. Javon Dexter's a perfectly serviceable defensive tackle right now. Could he eventually be better than that? Maybe, right? Like, maybe. That could he not be? Maybe, right? And I think that's fair, but I don't think you just jettison players off. Now, if and where you can make improvements, you make improvements, whatever that is. If and where you can make changes and improve your team, you do that. And if that ends up being a defensive tackle, great. But I'm just saying that you got to keep in mind money. And right now, I think I'd rather spend the money on an additional edge, but we'll see what happens there. And we'll see what this team decides to do. But that's offseason talk. We're in the midst of a playoff run right now, right? Like, so we'll talk about that more in the offseason there, Reese. But thank you for leaving that voicemail. Thank you to everyone. We're going to get through them as we can, man. But Bears fans, I know losses suck, right? But the team still holds control of its destiny. And that's something that we have not been able to say at this point in the season a lot. We have our coach to trust in. We have the staff to trust in. We have a quarterback that's developing. And we'll see where that gets this team. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as well. Comment on the channel as well. Want to hear how you guys feel about the future of DJ Moore. So sound off on that down below. You guys can follow us at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearscentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.